I'm Audrey, calling from Singapore. I'm an entrepreneur and have spent some time, a little bit about myself, in the Bay Area. A couple of years ago, as part of a university program, I was sent to the Bay Area to work and study, and started my first business in financial education, a business called Playmula. So many years later, I found myself coming back to Singapore and had some time and experience in the region to really see what people were living like in the region, and was really exposed to really some of the really difficult challenges around poverty, and seeing how people were living in very difficult conditions. And that almost 3 years ago really triggered me, together with some peers at that time, to really ask ourselves how we can be better stewards to respond with the gifts and talents that we have as individuals to really create a better world. So that journey has led me on this impact journey, working with social entrepreneurs, with collaborators like Impact Collective, with funders. And I've learned a lot in the last couple of years. And the most recent project or venture that, as Charlotte mentioned, that we've been spending some time working on is an organization called Circles of Angels. And what we do really is to trace and track impact of a social entrepreneur's journey through the process, kind of pre-funding and then like post-funding. So really trying to make the entire impact journey a little bit more transparent, a little bit more accountable, and also at the same time, you know, it's really about shifting that sense of power dynamics, right? Because oftentimes, you know, when you are the funder with the money, you know, you kind of in some ways dictate certain outcomes. But as an entrepreneur myself, there is so much power really in getting the social entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs to co-create and to really demonstrate, you know, the different forms of impact. But at the same time, you know, really to have a deep relationship with their funders as well. Because actually, you know, oftentimes funders, entrepreneurs, we're really in collaboration. So I really see that this is one of the ethos that stands very strongly with Impact Collective. So I'm really excited to learn from all of you today and to share a little bit of my experience and what I've learned through the years.
Great. Thank you, Audrey. To give a bit of background on myself, so I'll be moderating the session, but I am Charlotte Arribe. I'm actually based in Korea, but I'm originally French and Singaporean. I've done a bit of work here and there, mostly around youth empowerment and then around policy. I was previously working with the UN actually on policy around using technology for the SDGs. And through my work, started working on the Citypreneurs program, which is a partner of the Impact Collective and is kind of powering the impact pillar. And Citypreneurs is actually a really interesting project because the goal is to break down silos between the public sector, private sector, startup entrepreneurs, and civil society, and really bring everybody together to build better ecosystems, not only to support better policy for entrepreneurship, but also offer a place for growth where we connect entrepreneurs with potential opportunities around pilot projects or investments, which is why Impact Collective was such an interesting project for us to work on. On my end then, in addition to breaking down silos, which has always been something that I've been really keen on working on, I really became super invested in the Citypreneurs project and appreciate that the type of business that we're trying to promote is really one that I would say kind of takes your destiny in your hands, in the sense that when in the framework of the UN, right, we have adopted what we call the Sustainable Development Goals, which are, you know, wide-ranging goals adopted by all member states around sustainability. And there's always this kind of disconnect from people outside the sector who feel that, oh, it might just be like a national or government level thing, like it's not really relevant to them, or maybe it's big companies. But the program that we have really shows that it's from a bottom-up approach. Anybody can help contribute to the SDGs. In fact, they must, because it's a really pressing time that we're in. We're addressing a lot of challenges, like especially in COVID, you know, with climate change. There's so many issues that can be resolved with what we're doing. And so efforts such as Impact Collective, I think, are really great in connecting people together to offer opportunities for people who are trying to change the way we do business, and, you know, not only make profit, but also try to implement their, or exponentially achieve impact in the world. So that's a little bit on me. Is Changseong in the call yet? Okay, great. That's fine. I'll give a little bit more background information then on the Impact Collective program. So for those of you who've joined, Impact Collective is an online community-driven investment and acceleration program for impact-driven startups that are focusing on opportunities within Asia, specifically ASEAN, but that the competition is open, or the program in general is open to startups from all around the world. But we are looking for solutions that are helping to solve challenges within Asia. So we have worked on a framework that incorporates basically the SDGs into themes. We were greedy, so we decided to try and find solutions that help solve all of the SDGs, all 17 of them, and kind of divided them into 6 priority areas based on key global challenges that Asia Pacific is facing, specifically ASEAN countries. And so through this program, we're hoping to not only offer opportunities for investment, but, you know, provide a meaningful network of ecosystem stakeholders to give tools to impact makers who are trying to make a difference. And so we're a collective of experts, judges, who are all being onboarded as we speak onto this platform that was created from scratch based on blockchain technology. It's really awesome. I really invite you guys to check it out. If you just Google Impact Collective Moim, M-O-I-M, then you'll be able to see the platform. And we invite you to join, because the whole program is basically built around this idea of community and collective effort and wisdom of the crowd, right? Where it's not just about people making decisions behind closed doors, but you have a say in the decisions in kind of swaying the ways that investments are made, and showing that you're supporting solutions, right? We believe that by doing this, you're providing feedback not only to the startups, but also to other stakeholders in the public and private sector about what you think are important, what are important topics to you, or solutions that you think are needed in your day-to-day life. We do have, like, Citypreneurs itself is a UN-backed platform, so we do have UN people that are joining us. We also have people from the private sector, I think, including Kakao and some others. There's so many partners. We have a collection of logos if you go onto the Impact Collective website to check it out. Oh, yes, Songyi kindly sent the link for you to check out inside the chat, so I highly recommend that you do. And yeah, it's a platform where the current teams that have submitted their applications have been posted on the platform. And so you're very free to create an account and then review. Please like the ones that you support. And experts and judges are encouraged to leave comments onto the application so that they can move on to the next stage. The final stage is basically just a program where it's a collective camp that we're conducting entirely online so that all of us can be connected. So as Audrey mentioned, she's currently based in Singapore. I'm based in Korea, so is Changseong. Songyi, who is currently working behind the scenes for us, is based in New Zealand. And I'm sure many of you are from around the world, and we're very happy that you're all here with us. Hi, Songyi.
Hi.
Yeah.
Thank you. Today,
Yes.
participating as a tech support and then chat support. So if you have any questions or something like that, I will facilitate that and then hand over to the panelists. And thank you for joining.
Thanks, Songyi. Yes, so if any of you have any questions, please go ahead and feel free to write them in the Q&A section of the chat. I think for now, oh, I see there's already a question coming up. Okay, for this session, we're going to be basically breaking it down into like, I think a more detailed explanation of Impact Collective and the community-driven aspect of it, which Changseong will talk about later. But maybe since, given our context, maybe Audrey, why don't we go ahead and get started with talking about impact investment, since this is the topic of our AMA session. I'll start off with the very basic question of why impact? Why should investors care about impact?
Yeah, thanks, Charlotte. Well, I mean, from my point of view, you know, we are really stewards of resources, and there's a really ancient wisdom that said that we do not inherit the earth from our ancestors, we borrow it for our children. And oftentimes, as parents, as godparents with nieces and nephews and children, you really begin to ask yourself, what is the kind of world that you want to leave behind for the next generation? So for me, from this standpoint, you know, I think that the whole notion of impact becomes something that helps us to find a sense of purpose, but also more importantly, to use our money to vote for the kind of world that we want to see. And as innovators and entrepreneurs in the space, as inventors, you know, we often think about how we can really use our gifts and talents, right, to respond. And the designing for impact, I think, is one very key way of leaving that sense of legacy behind. So I think like more and more people really begin to start thinking about the kind of world that we would like to live in, that we would like to leave behind.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I really like this idea that you mentioned about how your money really is a way for you to vote for the solutions that you want. So the type of solutions you're purchasing or choosing to invest in really define, I guess, what your values are. And this is obviously not something that people think, I think, on a day-to-day basis, but it's something I think that it can definitely be tapped into, right? Yeah. For just in general, then, could you maybe define in the context of your work through Circle of Angels, how you guys have decided to measure impact and then translate it into ROI or return on investment?
Happy to. So in terms of impact, what I've learned is that there are really many different ways to measure and to track impact. So there's couples of many frameworks that are out there. For us at Circles of Angels, what we've done in the past year and a half has also been to work very closely with the UNICEF Innovation Fund to really come up with an example of a framework that's neutral enough, and we've adopted it from the OKR models, so objective and key results. And really then asking ourselves and the entrepreneurs, with these objectives and key results that you like to measure based on the industry and the sector that you're in, what is then the use of funds and how do you use this money to translate this into impact over time? I see Changseong.
Yes, I think he'll be joining in a bit.
Perfect. And so for us, you know, this is one of the frameworks that we've used in working with our entrepreneurs. And so some of the entrepreneurs on the platform are entrepreneurs in the education space, in the healthcare space. And what we see is that this methodology of impact tracking really, at the end of the day, is really a beginning of a conversation around what is it that really matters to the social entrepreneurs, more so than, you know, to the funders. Because a lot of times the social entrepreneurs are the ones who are so close to the business that we kind of really understand and really and know and see, right, what is it that impact is that can help us to really kind of measure it over time. So this is one way we look at that. In terms of translating it to ROI, so in some of our experiences in working with the entrepreneurs before, there are different kinds of financing and different ways of financing. One of the entrepreneurs we've worked with in the past we had the network and the angels had given like a series of like debt financing. So this particular entrepreneur, they work with in the rural villages of Thailand to provide like weaving of these beautiful hammocks. So women and children who are in the local community, so the community of weavers essentially are able to then curate and design these beautiful woven kind of hammocks. And that impact was kind of trace and track over time to see, okay, was there a shift and a change in income? Was the income and the livelihoods of these weavers in the community actually changed over time? So one of the things that happened as a result of that was that this particular entrepreneur needed access to working capital, and through a series of kind of interventions in financing over time, we were also able to kind of have an increase in kind of like the interest that was given. There was also a return on the principal. So it's kind of like being able to trace and track impact, but also to have the return on principal and a small interest over time.
Right. I think that's always a challenge, right? Trying to translate then the way that you track investment into like the impact that you have on people. Maybe following that point, maybe could you talk about how impact investment is different from conventional investment?
Absolutely. So something that I've learned also is that with entrepreneurs or social entrepreneurs who really start businesses for impact, there's oftentimes, as best as we can, have a very clear mandate or clear idea of who you would like to impact, right? Is it a social indicator? Is it an environmental indicator, right? So these measures are often very clear from the entrepreneurs from the onset. Comparing that to, say, a conventional investment, essentially, a conventional investment doesn't really have to care about any of these like environmental or social indicators. So I think that's one of the primary difference, that entrepreneurs who really are seeking impact are very clear on the onset, right, on the impact of their business, on the livelihood, on the people, on the environment of the people that they are serving.
Great. I mean, this is something also that we see in the Citypreneurs program, which I've talked to you a little bit about. This idea that impact profit alignment in business models, I think, is really important. There is definitely a clear mission for some businesses on what impact that they want to achieve, but there are also some that maybe are not so sure about the impact that they're having, or negatively impacting on certain aspects, right? So I think the work that we're trying to do is not just reinforcing the capacities of businesses to measure and track their impact, and then also translate this into potential funding opportunities, but also help them build a structure where the very idea of impact is interweaved in their profit model, and that it's something that you use as not just an added task for you to do that kind of pumps away your resources, but will help you gain more resources, because it's something that's not only aligned with I think impact investment, but also on the larger scale, like what governments are looking for. So you also get a public support aspect to this, and a lot of opportunities around pilot projects. If you're able to align your businesses and kind of translate that language into not only what investors are looking for, but what governments are looking for, then you kind of have like a double value public-private proposition. So that, I think, feeds into your business's resiliency, especially once again during times such as this in COVID, where if you've already taken into account how your business impacts the community that you're in, and how maybe you look into ways to support not just maybe a community abroad, but a community that your business is in, then I think in the long run, it's a recipe for success. So yes, now that we have Changseong, I'm going to thank you for making it.
Hi, Changseong.
Yeah, we kind of jumped into the conversation and covered a little bit, but I think, why don't you introduce yourself, I think your name, and then where you're based, and where you work or work you work on, whenever you're ready.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, my name is Changseong Ho. I'm a founder and CEO of Dell Ventures, which is an early stage accelerator and venture capital based in Korea. Now I'm based in Seoul, and my company has been investing in early stage startups since 2014, and we have invested in more than 70 projects so far. And we are not only investing in Korean companies, but also investing in companies outside of Korea, including US and Canada. And especially these days, our interest area is Southeast Asia. And from last year, we started we dreamt of a very innovative project to leverage crowd intelligence, collective intelligence for investment. So we, from last year, we designed to create initiative called Impact Collective, evolving to Impact Collective. And right now, we are very, very happy to have a lot of great partners who are aligning with us to change the world. And so I'm very, very happy and excited to be the program as a initiator and leader of the program. And nice to meet you all.
Great to have you on board in the call. And also we're the city, well, we're very happy to also be working with you on this. I think what you've been doing is great. And maybe, I think, could you maybe expand a little bit more on this idea of wisdom of the crowd and how it's like maybe where it came from, and then how you felt that it's structured or is beneficial to the Impact Collective program?
Mm-hmm. So first of all, I was an entrepreneur myself since 2007 when I first started my startup called Vicky, based in San Francisco and Bay Area. And I wasn't first-time entrepreneur back then, and I was grown up in Korea, and I was totally new to the US, and I had to raise capital in Silicon Valley without prior experience, and I didn't have much network in the US. I really had a hard time raising capital for my seed money and early stage capital there. So based on my own experience, having difficulty in raising venture money, that became the inspiration of what I really want to do as a venture capitalist after I started my own company, after I started my own venture capital. And yeah, back in 2007 and 2008, so my first business was quite unique and exotic from the eyes of mainstream American. I started a company called Vicky, which was a crowdsourced translation platform. So where a lot of volunteer translators from all around the world gather and started to translate the video subtitle for Asian entertainment like Korean drama and Japanese animation and those kind of content. And I pitched this idea to a lot of people, and I got easy seed money from my friend, but raising professional money was very, very difficult because a lot of Americans, a lot of venture capitalists back then regarded Asian content as a very niche content, and basically their opinion was that who no mainstream Americans watch Asian content, etc. So no, but the success of Vicky proves that you know the perspective of I'm sorry, just 10 seconds. My kid is
No
coming
problem.
in.
No problem. Hello. A little VIP guest here.
Yeah, unexpected guest. Yeah, so I that was my personal experience, and I what I thought was that no one is perfect in predicting what's going to work, and
Mhm.
even somebody called investment professional, venture capitalist, sometimes need uh, opinions from wider audience, and they need to respect people, a diverse spectrum of people's their opinion, especially in regard when it comes to social impact. It's not just the venture capitalist expertise area. I mean, it is not just it should not be decided like that. I truly believe that collective intelligence, crowd intelligence, can do a significant role in discovering really really impactful project, and it really add diverse dimension in venture investment strategy, I think.
Great. No, I completely agree. I think from my perspective as well, like through the Citypreneurs program, this idea of collaborating across sectors and trying to involve as many people as possible is essential, not only to building an ecosystem that survives, but also informing better policy. I mean, my background is a little bit in policy. So, you know, through the Citypreneurs program, we have organized policy dialogues and discussions where we invited, you know, UN experts, city representatives to directly sit down with investors and entrepreneurs themselves to hear about things that are important to them that, you know, could help build up the ecosystem. Because I think entrepreneurs are the ones that are creating the future. You know, they are the ones that are addressing society gaps, but also looking at gaps that are potentially very profitable. And in order to do that, they need to be supported. And so whether it's through community support or through policy support, I think it's very important to kind of create a space where everybody can come together and share ideas, because so usually I feel people work in very different, or they feel that they work in different silos and they kind of work parallel to each other. And so Impact Collective is great in the sense that we're really trying to create a platform for everybody to congregate and come together to create policy for better ecosystems, but also support solutions that can have exponential impact. Audrey, is there anything you want to mention about maybe this aspect of community with regards to impact investment?
I think that, you know, the point that Changseong made about diversity is a really important one. And the point being that with the future of impact financing, impact investing, philanthropic giving, for instance, we will begin to see more and more entrepreneurs, and less so just financiers or like bankers who traditionally dominate this space. And it's almost that entrepreneurs who come into this sector, to this community, can really begin to understand the needs of entrepreneurs. So it's kind of like, you know, entrepreneurs supporting entrepreneurs, and entrepreneurs really understand the pain, right, that entrepreneurs go through. So it's great to see more, you know, entrepreneurs who've been successful in their own ways to now, you know, come up to do more for fellow entrepreneurs. And I think there's really power in that diversity. And I mean, from your point of view as well, as someone in policy, it's refreshing, right? Because in traditional impact investing circles, you don't find like policymakers, you don't have such conversations.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yes, I agree. I think this is also a great opportunity for startups to get directly connected to us, because there is also this disconnect, I think, between impact makers and like experts or judges that are conducting programs. You know, sometimes it seems like programs are run behind closed doors, and so this idea of impact collective, I think, is really good about trying to connect people. So I strongly encourage all of you who are currently attending to check out the platform once again. But yeah, I think Changseong, I don't know if you have any advice, or maybe why don't you talk a little bit more about how the Impact Collective investment process works, because we didn't really go into that. So there are 2 tracks, but I think it might be good if you maybe explain a little bit more about that and like what you plan with this.
All right. So I think because we have explanation about our investment process on our website and our Impact Collective community platform. But so let me briefly summarize. So throughout this program, we're going to select the startups that will receive investment from Impact Collective Fund. The Impact Collective Fund is a kind of dedicated fund for impact startups and impact startups participating in this program. So we estimate that we are likely to invest in at about 20 startups who are participating in this program. So, and the investment size will be, the spectrum of investment size is quite wide. So it's going to be typically from 50,000 US dollar to 500,000 US dollar maximum, but the average size will be between 50K to 200K. And the criteria we see is that there are 4 criteria. Of course, because this is startup investment, we regard team and teamwork as the most important thing. And we see product vision and product vision. And we also think the business model and revenue model is very important, because this is not a grant program, this is investment program. So Impact Collective Fund should be able to generate the market rate profits. So just like other venture fund, this fund also has a return target. So the business should be able to scale and in a sustainable way. So that's really important part as well. And the last part, as our naming indicates, Impact Collective, we see impact angle. So how this company will intrinsically, how the business model of this company intrinsically relates to generating impact. So for example, when a product made by this company, whenever this product is sold, it automatically generate some measurable impact on the society, those kind of things. So there are 4 pillars of investment. And so we will start to review the investment from the investment opportunity from September. So, and a lot of investment review will occur from September to December. Although even after the end of the program, the investment discussion will may continue. Yeah, that's the brief summary.
Yeah, I think it's a good thing that you also mentioned that the fact that this program is not just a fixed program, but we're hoping to really build something that will stand or go beyond just the current camp that we're hosting and events that we're hosting in 2020, right? So if you join the Impact Collective, you know, there are potential opportunities for you to gain additional investments if if you stay on in the community. And it's not just investments, I think, with the Impact Collective Fund, but it's also investments with potential partners that are on the platform. Yeah, I think.
I'd also like to add that
Yes.
in addition to official investment from Impact Collective Fund, there are additional extra opportunities of securing investment from the Impact Collective, diverse Impact Collective partners, because so this program is run by a lot of partners altogether. And among the partners, there are many active investors, early stage investors. So this program is a great opportunity to expose your project to a diverse spectrum of investors.
It's great. I think it's awesome that we're not only connecting people to a fund, but to potential to other opportunities for investment. I think we're about close to the Q&A time, but if we could maybe finish on a few couple words, I'd like to ask you maybe on what is some advice you would give to startups with regards to getting impact investment? Audrey, why don't you go ahead and start?
Well, in terms of advice in this regard, I would say it's incredibly important to find your investors who really share similar values with you, who share a similar ethos. And I think also it's very important to get a sense also of the kinds of expectation of returns that your investors are looking for. Because I think with the whole space of impact investing right now, there's also a lot of investors who are also figuring out what kinds of returns are feasible across the different spectrum of entrepreneurs. So I think it's always a good conversation to find the alignment of values and expectations of return. And after all, you know, your investors are really going to be there for the very, very long run. So I would say choose them very carefully. People liken investors to like marriage, right? Can you so-called like marry this person? But I think in a nutshell as well, I've also seen how because of very deep relationship with investors and entrepreneurs, they really support the investors on the journey. And, you know, I myself have really benefited from having really good investors through my journey as an entrepreneur as well.
Great. How about you, Changseong? What's some advice that you would give to startups that are trying to get more impact investment?
I would say from a little bit different angle. So what I observed so far is that there are really diverse spectrum of companies who are already generating great impacts, or who have potential to generate great impact. So there are many companies, really great companies, who are not realizing that they are already impact-driven companies. So one of the one of the important things we would like to pursue through this program is that we want to help those great companies with great business model, impact generating business model, refine their business strategy to integrate their vision and business strategy with measurable impact KPI. In that way, we believe the business can make really quantum jump in their in their pursuit of success. So that's I think the impact investment, a lot of impact investors wants to see how much impact they are going to generate, and number is important. Measurement is important, because just like ordinary investors see the financial statement, impact investors would want to see the measurable social impact as their KPI, even when they report to their LPs who care about impacts. So yeah, whether or not you see yourself as impact-driven company at the moment right now, it will be always great thing to figure out the impact strategy, impact angle integration strategy to get impact investment, I think.
Great, thank you. We're just about ready for Q&A, but before I do, I just realized, Audrey, we never mentioned how you're involved with the Impact Collective. So maybe could you expand a little bit on that?
Sure. Very psyched also to be working with the team, and I'll be taking on a little bit more of an impact expert part of the impact committee. So working very closely with folks like Charlotte, Songyi, to really see how we can perhaps even pilot test some of what we're doing with Circles of Angels with the platform, to really trace and track impact over time, to have a greater monitoring. Great,
thank you. I think we're right on time, actually. So there are a few questions. The first one being just a general one about, like, let's see, application process. A pitch deck is required for the application process. And okay, I think maybe this is more of a basic question, I think. So what are some key components of a pitch deck to submit to the Impact Collective program through the application? So I would say, I mean, feel free to jump in, Audrey and Changseong, but generally when you submit a pitch deck to the platform, it should have obviously the problem that you're trying to solve, your solution, market validation, or you know, your business model, more importantly, as well as what your product is, your target market, and then competitive advantages and your team. Obviously, then in this sense, you would also have to include your impact angle, what you're aiming to have in terms of impact. I think this is something that you can also Google online. There are quite a few resources that will give you a breakdown of what a pitch deck is supposed to look like. And through the application process, I think we also have a number of questions that tease out some of the information that we do need. Bear in mind that the pitch deck shouldn't be too long. Should be maybe 10 to 20 slides, and try and convey, I think, the key points of your business model and impact and product and target market. Yeah, I don't know if Changseong or Audrey have anything else they'd like to add to help with this.
No, I don't think so. But in my experience reviewing the deck, so many applications have, in general, many applications don't have strong, well written slide for realistic competitor analysis. So yeah, that's I think this is this is about serious business. It is very important that founders have realistic overview of the competitive landscape, and the investors need to get comfortable about what is unique about this company. There are a lot of similar companies around the world, and a lot of similar companies even in the target region, target country. So most of them would need to understand what makes this company really unique, and really what is the really unique strength of this company. So that's my yeah, advice.
Great. Do you have, oh, so Songyi also sent in an applicant's example on the chat, so you're very free to, or I invite you to go and check it out. Audrey, do you have anything that you'd like to add on to this?
Not in too much components, but the thing that kind of comes to mind also is perhaps if you have existing data of customers you've actually been able to win, or users that you've been testing with your prototype, it's always good to kind of demonstrate what you have already done and what data you've collected and what you've learned from the data you've collected. So I think that kind of sets apart the businesses who are just in an idea stage versus those who may be prototyping and who are already having some form of data collected.
Great, thank you. We actually also have a question about the blockchain platform. Seems like Neha Satak wants to know more about how the blockchain technology was used in the ICC platform. So I think this question is more for you, Changseong. Would you, if you can,
All right.
maybe talk a bit more. Go ahead.
So this program, Impact Collective, is almost 100% run on our dedicated online platform, which we call ICC, Impact Collective Community. And the key part, the essence of the process will occur after we begin the main round from mid-September. So a lot of judges from our partner judges to community judges, they're going to participate in the evaluation process. And they're going to give an blockchain-based token so that they can vote for their favorite startups. So depending on their levels, depending on their judge tier, judges are given granted different amount of voting tokens. So if, for example, if they are given 50 voting tokens, they can distribute the tokens for their favorite startups, like 20, 10, 10, 10, or 15, 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, and that's up to the judges. And all the process is going to be transparently shared, and judges not only cast a voting token, but also they have to leave comments on why they like this startup and why they give 10 tokens to these startups. They have to provide the reasonable reason about their decision. So that is also shared to everyone in the community. So we believe that's going to be a great system for everyone, so that everyone can learn each other's view and why this person thinks like that, and those kind of things. So first part is voting, and in the process, in the token distribution process, the blockchain is going to be used. And also the other thing is that the startups who are selected for the main round, they're going to be given the appreciation token, easily speaking, as a thank you token, and they're going to get those different types of token, and it's a reverse way evaluation for judges and mentors. So they can cast those thank you token to judges and mentors, or even anyone in the community who feels, I get a lot of help, a lot of support, and from this person, they can freely give the tokens to others. And those thank you tokens will be recorded, and depending on the tokens, thank you token, the amount of thank you tokens at the end of the program, and even a little bit after the program, we plan to distribute some portion of the investment profit to those people who participated in the collective help activities. So that's how we utilize blockchain.
Thank you for the explanation. I think it's great that we're using this blockchain technology to also kind of spread the wealth or reward everybody that's taking part in it, and it really gives incentive to take part. I know there's not much time left, but Audrey, the Circle of Angels also uses blockchain technology. Would you have a couple of minutes just to explain maybe how you've interpreted this technology for your platform?
Yes, happy to share. So from a monitoring standpoint, essentially the platform is able to track evidences that the entrepreneurs essentially say and verify according to a measurable impact indicator. So an independent auditor, known as an oracle in this case, essentially can also upload that evidence, and actually that data that is so-called part of the impact verification get actually stored on chain. So from a smart contract standpoint, once that milestone has been verified, the next tranche of financing or funding, so to say, can then be released to the entrepreneur. So it's kind of like a milestone-based verification to trace and track the impact. So that's one of our early pilots or experiments that we're currently doing.
Great. I think that's awesome. It's great to see the way that blockchain technology is kind of interpreted in different ways in these two different settings. We have one more question that just came up regarding what your perspective is on the broader investment scene with regards to Corona and the change in the shift in the focus of investments that support the SDGs. So maybe you could talk a little bit about how you feel COVID-19 has affected the investment community. Nope. Yep. I think I'm not sure whether Changseong or Audrey, you'd like to take a jab at the question.
Sure,
Yeah.
I can take a crack at this.
Yes.
You know, it's really an important question, Connor, and it's really difficult also. We had a live case as well of one of our entrepreneurs who's in the healthcare space. It's a company called Stratificare. We work very closely with them on the impact tracking, and they do dengue prognostics. So, you know, as part of the impact tracking, one of their goals at the beginning of the funding when they were tracking the impact was really about hiring a researcher, right? And what essentially ended up happening really was that in the COVID world, that hire couldn't necessarily be met. And part of the funding that they got essentially had been to divert to really about COVID response. So they're actually supplying PPEs to some of the hospitals within the region. And it was like a little bit of a shift, in that mandate with dengue prognostic, even though dengue cases are on the rise in this part of the world. So one thing I've learned is that when it comes to financing and impact tracking too, flexibility really is needed in this time as we respond to the crisis. And I think there is also a lot of resilience that we see in our entrepreneurs that, because some of the hospitals were like suddenly like scrambling away from dengue prognostics and tackling the cases of dengue prognostics here in Singapore, there was a need to really kind of pivot. And so the business and the founders have really found a way to kind of level that playing field. So it's really a constant question also. And, as climate change really kicks in more and more, we're seeing more and more rises in like dengue cases in like tropical climates here. And we even heard that there were like cases in like, places like Japan where it's less tropical. So I think that, with the pandemic that's happening with climate change, there's really a whole host of complex factors that entrepreneurs really now need to rethink, what kind of innovations can complement and can really solve the world's like hardest challenges. No easy answers, but good question.
Right. Yes. And I guess the key word here you would say is then flexibility from the investor's perspective to kind of face challenges like COVID-19. Changseong, do you have anything you'd like to add onto that in terms of the shift in? Yeah.
Difficult question. But I've seen several startups who are trying to secure extra runway given the uncertainty over the next how long nobody knows how long it's going to be. So I've seen startups who already raised pre-Series A or Series A. Let's say they closed $1 million, $1.5 million a few months ago, but they decided to open an extra room for like 500K to 700K because of the uncertainty. So I think it is always important to have the capacity to deal with uncertainty. So if money is running out, that's really you're going to have hard time. So that's my general thinking about the COVID situation.
Great, thanks. I think we're going to let Audrey go because she has another engagement. Thanks for joining, Audrey. And any of you who have additional questions, you can just join the platform and actually talk to her or any of us directly. Changseong, we have, I think, one more question. Bye.
Thanks everybody. Take care. See you, Charlotte. Thanks. Thanks, Changseong. Thanks, Songyi. Bye, everybody.
Yeah, bye.
Bye. So the last question that we have here is just with regards to what kind of co-founders or teams we're looking forward to invest in and any SDGs that we're looking more into than others. I think for this one, I can probably answer. For the SDGs that we're looking into, Impact Collective was actually pretty ambitious, and we are looking for solutions that address all the SDGs. So there's not any particular ones that we're focusing on, but what we've done is that we have divided it into 6 themes that kind of collect the SDGs and showcase some priorities within the region. So if you are looking into what type of businesses you're looking for, I guess you could look into the 6 themes and see how you could fit. But once again, I'd say they're pretty broad. Since they do encompass all of the SDGs, I think as long as your team is working on achieving impact and has a good business model, then I would say, yeah, send in your application. I don't know if you have anything else you want to add, Changseong, on that.
I'd like to talk about the first question. What types of founders do you look to invest in? That's really difficult question because every investor has their own view of what kind of teams are the best teams. So it's going to be totally my personal opinion. And because this program is not run by myself only, yeah, it doesn't represent my team's opinion. But from my experience investing in startups, for me, the single most important thing is the authenticity of the team, why they want to build this service, build this product, and the tenacity and persistence of the team. So it's very rare. That founders, startups see great success from the beginning. They succeed only after a series of failure and challenges, and it would take few years, several years. Sometimes they run out of money, and even after running out of money, some founders don't give up and pursue their vision. So I see many great founders, great startups overcome those obstacles and difficult moments and keep pursuing their dream and become successful at the end. So that's my personal view.
I think you make a strong point. So 2 keywords then is authenticity with the team and persistence to overcome the odds, right? It's true that in an entrepreneur's journey, it's never just a gradual climb. It really is up and down, and you have to kind of find your truth and your way around this. I think, oh, do we have one more questions? Nope, I think we've answered all the questions. Songyi, do you have any others that you see on other channels that we need to answer?
Not really at the moment. Is there any further question, guys? Please don't be shy. It's a great chance to ask any question. It doesn't have to be around impact makers, impact investment, or anything like that, but about general things that you want to ask us or about the program, simple ones, all good. We will probably gonna give you guys a minute to type something. Otherwise, we can gently end the session as well.
Agreed. We'll be here for a bit, so take your time. We'll check it out in a minute or two.
Yeah, and at the same time, I've shared a few articles. So regarding on the Changseong's comments about collective intelligence and how we approach and why we started Impact Collective, there is a Medium article about that, and also 6 focus theme that Charlotte wrote on our Medium blog. So there's a 2 blog article and also our Impact Collective community channel. So you can all reach out to us. Feel free to do that. And if you are a startup already applied, please leave your username or comments under your application so we know who you are and then how to reach out to you. And also put your beautiful face on the profile and then leave some comments about it, who you are. And that definitely helps for us to understand you better and more reachable, so please do so.
Right. And I think in addition to startups, the platform is open to the community. So if you're just an impact enthusiast, we welcome you. I think you should still sign up for the platform, and you get to take part in communications. And I think there's a like feature where you can select which startups you're supporting or businesses that you think are good. And there'll be quite a few, I think, community activities when the program starts running in September. So if you know anybody that's interested in the platform or could benefit from joining, please share the word. We're very happy to include all of you.
And invite your tribes and your user group, your advocates. If you're a team, do that. And if you're a startup ecosystem builder, invite your investor in your region, or invite your entrepreneurs in your region, and so we can all build the ecosystem together. All right. I think no further questions.
All right, great. Well, thank you, Changseong, for joining me for today's AMA. Thanking Audrey too, although she's gone. And I think we can wrap up then.
Yeah, thank you so much. And then we live stream to Facebook. You can also find this video on the Citypreneur Facebook, and also Impact Collective YouTube channel. And we got your email, so we will send you furthermore, like a little bit more information about Impact Collective and then our community news from time to time. If you don't want that, let me know personally. Just chat me. I don't want that email. But otherwise, I will send it to you. Thank you so much for joining today.
Yeah,
Bye,
thank you.
everyone. Thank you.